What she said sports. It is lunch and stream. Welcome, everybody. I hope everyone is having a good Monday. Let me know when I see you guys in the chat. Let me know if you can see and hear me. All right. So, oh gosh, it's a lot happening. First and foremost, it is camp season. Colorado has camps happening. Milroe announced his camp back in Alabama for his quarterback camp or his football camp. Jameis Winston announced his football camp, and we saw Shedeur Sanders. We saw Shador pull up to a 7-on-7 game, or it could be also a camp with a bunch of little bitty kids, and they were cute, and they wanted to know where was Travis Hunter. So it got me to thinking. I wonder if we'll see camps put on by Travis Hunter in the future. So we haven't seen Travis since OTAs, and this could be a cue as to how his career goes. You see him on the field, but maybe you don't see him off the field. But I do hope that we see Travis, with the kids in the future, maybe doing a camp in the off season. Right now, maybe, just maybe, he's getting ready because I understand that there's a bunch of mandatory camps coming up, which could be for veterans. And if so, if the rookies don't have to be there, maybe he gets to take a honeymoon. And that would be nice. So it's a lot happening for a Monday morning. A few things flying around is that Cleveland is apparently looking to get a quarterback with the number one and number two picks or 2 first-round picks in the 2026 draft. Now, that is very concerning for a lot of people following the traumatic draft for Shedeur Sanders. But what that tells me, while I don't think Cleveland should be allowed to draft another quarterback, probably for another decade. And I'm serious because they've had 40 quarterbacks take snaps as starter in the last 25 years. And what happened with this draft? Drafted 2 rookies, both late, and then we see the quarterback shuffle happening on the ground in Cleveland with quarterbacks who are past their prime, who have essentially, less than 2% left on their battery life when it comes to their career, and why they keep wanting to generously pay these particular quarterbacks who can't produce. So essentially, Cleveland keeps putting themselves back in the same situation repeatedly. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of fans are starting to realize, okay, yeah, this is not good. This is not good. So it's just a situation where fans are starting to feel exasperated with Cleveland, period. But then you have Shedeur Sanders fans who are starting to feel that, you know what, this is not going to be a place for Shedeur. And that's what the message is to me. Shedeur is not in Cleveland for long. So that's just what the message is. And, a lot of people are talking about, oh, they want to get Carson back, etc. So today I was going through some of the notes that I have accumulated and compiled and organized. And one basically talks about how certain Cleveland was to draft Shador at the number 2 spot. So here is what you're starting to hear on the media circuit as Cleveland is pushing this narrative, which I'm sure the NFL is behind. Andrew Berry, right as OTAs were wrapping up, basically slid in to say, hey, yeah, we traded Travis Hunter away 2 weeks before. Now, that's not anything to brag about. That's not anything to brag about. And in fact, what they were doing was basically saying, look, we weren't going to get Shador. That's why we drafted him late. And that's not true. They actually were going to get Shador. It's actually documented. But nobody's talking about Cleveland was certain to get Shador at the number 2 spot. And what changed? That should be the question. But instead, they just want to push the narrative that, yeah, we traded away Travis Hunter, so you don't look at what they did to Shador, because it needs to be looked into. And I already said it, the NFL needs oversight. I don't know about who. Fans, somebody. Somebody. But they need oversight. So, yes, Cleveland was drafting Shador at number 2. What the media should be talking about is, why did you change your mind? Now, I have another document that shows that the Tennessee Titans said Shador was professional, mature, they were impressed with him, etc. We already heard Mary Cabot say what? Mary Cabot told us, yeah, we didn't hear anything about his character like that, not like that other organization. Right. So who are we talking about? The Giants. So what the media should be talking about, because now at the end of last week, from Wednesday to Friday, he's not a fifth round draft pick. He was drafted in the fifth round. He's an elite QB drafted in the fifth round. We already been saying it, right? So they catching up to us. And now what they should be saying is, well, why was he drafted so late? Because Tennessee said he was professional, prepared, and mature. Cleveland on the ground said they didn't see anything like what who said? The New York Giants. And Pittsburgh said, yeah, the intangibles are good and impressive, right? So everybody has something good to say. So why isn't the media picking up on the fact and talking about it incessantly like they were when they were trashing his skills? Why aren't they saying what we all are now thinking? Why was he drafted so late? Why was an elite QB1, who's clearly the best QB in the draft and definitely the best QB in Cleveland, why was he drafted so late? That should be the narrative this week. That should be the narrative this week. Why is it not? Right? Because fans don't push the narrative. Fans can push the narrative. We've seen it. But then fans would all have to be on the same page and understand that everybody got their own agenda. So while social media has a massive presence and can impact outcomes, you normally see it when in times of crisis when somebody good is being mistreated or abused. That's when you see it, and then that's when everybody get on the same page. Other than that, they're not all talking to each other. So there again seems to nobody to hold the Cleveland Browns and the NFL accountable. It's just not. So, today you turn on the television. It's like, yep, he definitely can start at one. I'm like, of course he can. But you knew that. But see, here's the part that they're not saying. Not only is the question, why was a talented and obviously gifted QB1 who's elite, a first year starter, even projected first by the NFL, why was that person drafted so late? And now that he's in the league and they have treated him like he's a fourth string QB, you know what the question should be? Why was Shedeur Sanders devalued in the NFL draft? That's the question. Why was he devalued in the NFL draft? And if you want to say, well, they said he was entitled. Okay, if you think somebody's entitled, you don't have the right to manipulate their draft stock and steal the number two bag from them. You don't. You just don't draft them at all. So, see, there's a lot of wrong that's being pushed out to the forefront, and the media wants to say, yes, he can start. Okay, that's great. Now, when y'all gonna pay him? Because you had no right to be malicious and devalue him based on what? Lies, defamation. When they gonna talk about that? When they gonna talk about, yeah, somebody need to pay Shador his money? Because I have heard people say, yeah, they were wrong. They didn't have to do it like that. If you didn't want to draft him, don't draft him. I said that. If why was he in the draft if you didn't like him so much? Why did you invite him to the draft process? Because you want to do what? Hoard talent from Canada? Because yeah, he could have went played there as Vince Young, right? Vince Young could have also went to Canada. Terrell Pryor could have went to Canada. See, here's the message that's coming out for these parents that I watch with their young players, their young football players, all the way down to, I guess, 7-on-7s for the little bitties, to the ones that are showing us their junior and senior high school football players who are getting ready to pick a college. And this message is for the dual and triple athlete students and parents of those students. We have already heard how many times, countless times, that players who could play basketball or in the top 100, the top 50, could go to the league and ball out, could also go to the NFL draft and be a number one pick, a first round pick. We have heard the story countless times that these dual athletes Some triple because they can play baseball. Choose football over baseball and basketball. You might want to rethink that. You might want to start your strategy right now. And you better look at what happened to Shador and go back and look at what's still happening to Lamar Jackson and choose a different sport. Unless you want to watch your son be devalued, pushed down in the draft, passed over for the MVP for the third time, even though he's documented the number one QB in the NFL, but they hand the MVP to number two. Watch Coco Gauff celebrate winning the French Open. And she talked about how the crowd was loudly trying to, chanting her opponent's name and how mentally she blocked that out and start chanting her own name. Yeah, we know they have the mental toughness because we see it with Shador. We see it with Lamar Jackson. We didn't see it with Joe Gilliam. I wish we would have. Vince Young, also, although doing fine now, had a tough time dealing with it, dealing with being a black NFL quarterback. And there are going to be people that go, well, my son is not the quarterback. He's the wide receiver. Okay, well, if you know you're not going to ever be looked at as a king, cool. But if your son can play 3 sports or 2 sports and can go the NBA route or the MLB route, you might want to consider it. Coco Gauff only had to block out the mental chance of the people cheering against her, which is just fans. There was no way the tennis world could rob her of a victory because it was based purely on sport. And yeah, they could have sent a ref to cheat, but guess what? We all watching. So there's that. See, the goal in life when you get to your dream is to be happy on and off the field. And it seems like when you have people who are what? I'm tired of seeing Travis Hunter dance. Maybe you don't want to see Travis Hunter be rich and happy. Maybe that's really what it is, and they're not saying. So, see, the NFL, the league itself sets the culture and the fans follow. Just like in the NBA, and they had to do something about it, right? See, when these fans that they want to attract, their target demographic, see them publicly devaluing and humiliating Shedeur Sanders or devaluing Lamar Jackson or Vince Young, they think it's okay to personally attack them for doing the NFL draft, record themselves trying to also humiliate them because they heard executives, NFL executives, berate him. So they thought they could get in on the fun. So the call came from inside the house. And then you have fans on social media who pile under Shador's any post about Shedeur, especially when it's good, who try to mimic the same berating narrative about Shedeur. Where you think they got it? Because you don't see it when he playing. They got it from the NFL. And when the NFL took in racism out the end zone in the Super Bowl, they basically were saying we're not interested in the end racism anymore. And then that let people think it's okay to fly their R flag, their racist flag. That's exactly what they did. So they come in at all directions. And the media helped. See, the media helped to devalue Shador. But see, now they say he can start. Yeah, he can. But should he? For how much money? Because we all know what y'all did. You devalued him, you publicly humiliated him, and you lied on him, and you colluded against him. And now you want him to go out here and start and take a failing organization to the top for $4 million, which y'all have sent a reporter to say is more like an uncooked Pop Tart. rather than his full pie. I hope these guys, while they're taking this downtime, even if it's 24 hours, I hope they're talking. I hope they're doing what their generation does, using their phones to get into a group chat. And I hope they are putting together their own league because you're not going to change. You're not going to change the plantation mindset of this one. And even though it's burning down, it's going to take some time. And the question is, how much of your prime years in your career do you want to give up to wait for it to burn? So you can light a match yourself and start your own league, and we all gravitate that way because that's exactly what's going to happen. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, 7-on-7 was not a term that you hear all day. We didn't see kids playing 7-on-7 ball 10 years ago and parents rushing to sign them up. Parents are now starting to burn down AAU basketball, and probably rightfully so from everything I've heard about it. It's just a money scheme. It doesn't truly help. Maybe at one time, but then when people saw the popularity growing, they did what? Well, we can take advantage of this. And then it was no longer about the athletes. So yeah, sports have their problems. But you have to ask yourself, when you think in the terms of baseball and how much money they make, guaranteed, all of it. When you think about basketball and how much they make, guaranteed in all of it. And you look at the NFL, who don't make that kind of money? And it's not even guaranteed. And all you hear is we're restructuring this contract. This person is taking a pay cut. That person is taking a pay cut. And the hell you got to put up with constantly being made to understand that they believe that your cognitive functioning is less and it's only your athletic abilities that are worth anything, which means you're not deemed to hold and be celebrated when you play the most important position on the team, which is quarterback. It's not going to get no better from here. There is no up from here because they're not interested in making it right. And you know they're not because you look at Cleveland is sticking to the script that the NFL handed them, the script that the people in Cleveland were actually a part of developing. They knew when they publicly came out and said they took a big swing and miss with Deshaun Watson, they were scapegoating Deshaun Watson as to say, okay, we're not going to get Shedeur no more because they told us how. They showed us how. We interested in him. We want to get him. How long ago was that plan hatched? I'll go with the Vegas Super Bowl at minimum, which means that's when you went and asked Charles Woodson, you still interested? Of course he is. And that's why it was Cleveland. And that's why Cleveland was interested in to Shador until they made an about face publicly, which was basically telling everybody, oh, yeah, we're not going to get him no more. See, that's the message they were sending us. But I don't know if they really took a big swing and miss with Deshaun Watson because his starting record is actually good, 8-4. But they do seem hell bent on getting quarterbacks with 2% battery life left on their careers and awarding them money they should have paid to Shador to just start. So basically, they went all the way around the corner to get directly across the street. So now, amongst 2 or 3 aging quarterbacks or quarterbacks who are already proven to have failed to lead a franchise to winning, they want to give them the money, which probably totals about $10 or $11 million in 1 year that they owe to Shedeur Sanders. And they want to keep him in the back of the line because they'd rather see 3 failing, aging QBs up front because that's their preference. So it's not about winning, just like the draft was not about putting together winning teams and drafting talent. All you hear is how Jackson Dart is struggling. Not a surprise if you watch the Senior Bowl and you watched his season. People talk about, oh, we're not going to talk about his 4 interceptions he threw in 1 game. But when it happened to Jalen Milroe in that Oklahoma game, that's all you heard. Milroe trash. Jackson Dart is the best, and they have a QBR rating of less than 0.2% difference. That was manufactured. so that Dart could be seen as the best in the SEC. Because why did they didn't want Milroe to be the best in the SEC, and he went to Alabama. So what is the message to these QBs coming out of college about where you choose to go to school? No five-star QB should have been benched. But they say God don't give you more than you can bear. And they can take a bad situation like a five-star being benched behind a relative unknown and a backup. They say, you know what? Let it be, because unfortunately Keelan Russell lost his twin sister after he graduated high school. So now he gonna need that time to heal and find another school. So that's what you call God making something good out of something bad. He now will have the time to heal, but they didn't know that. They were benching him because they knew why they were benching him. They didn't want him to start for Alabama. Look how fast they benched Jalen Hurts. And they bad in the NFL when he gets to the draft, because why? He had enough self-worth to say, let me get out of here and go play for Lincoln Riley's air raid offense. That's not a bad thing. That's knowing your worth. They want to run the ball at Alabama. Cool. Why did they even recruit Jalen? Maybe so they could bench him and we don't see him, like they trying to do Keelan Russell. So when I saw Keelan Russell with that Coach Prime T on, I put out a video asking, is there room for one more? And I saw it being the same thing, the same process, the same possibility that Mike Tomlin exercised when what? After we saw what happened to Russell Wilson and Denver and how they were abusing Justin Fields in Chicago. They both ended up in Pittsburgh. I don't think that's a coincidence. And that's why I told y'all, in some form of way, I see Mike Tomlin was protecting Shador from being benched as number 2, because the article is still out there. Mike Tomlin is advised to draft Shedeur at the number 2 and make him a number 2 QB behind who? Aaron Rodgers. That's why they were forcing Aaron Rodgers on Pittsburgh to block Shedeur from the QB1 spot, to block Mike Tomlin from having the ability to make a decision about another black quarterback that could benefit both the team and the fans. But when it goes higher up, that's not what it's about. It's about keeping Shedeur Sanders from QB1 in the draft. It's not them playing God. And while they won that round, because when the draft wrapped up, there were only 16 black QB1s as a result of that draft. Cam Ward being 16. Shedeur was 17 to 32. And they knew this was going to happen in that draft, because why? In 2024, somewhere around the Vegas Super Bowl, they could see who was getting ready to be the starters in the NFL in August. And it was 15 quarterbacks. A record was set. 15 black quarterbacks were the starters for the first time ever in the NFL. Did you hear anybody talk about that into this draft? How historic this draft was supposed to be? When the 3 elite black QBs go in the first round, or even 2 in the first round, that the one who is number 17, the second QB selected in the draft, would make the majority of black QB1s, which is black starting quarterbacks, will be the majority of all starting quarterbacks. So 17 to 32. And guess who got the number 2 crown? Shedeur Sanders, number 17. And you saw what they did to him to make sure he does not become number 17. So what they going to do now to prevent it? Milroe is QB2. So even if you put Shedeur out there and we never see him, Milroe's still out there. There's other black quarterbacks out there sitting at the number 2 spot that could easily take the number 1 spot. Injury, performance. So they drafted to destroy. Jalen Hurts was drafted and made the number 2. Injury is how he got to the QB1 spot. We already know Shador is the best QB in the draft. So see, we're not watching football teams being built to compete for the Super Bowl. That's what we're watching at. We are watching how hard the NFL is going to go and what links they're going to continue to go through to show us what they're going to do to keep Shador out the number one QB1 spot for the majority of the season without being sacked excessively. And then if he's rightfully the MVP, they're going to award it to him and not the number two, which is what they did in the draft. They made Jackson Dart the second QB and Tyler Shaw the third QB instead of the talent of Shedeur Sanders and Jalen Milroe. So, so that's what we're watching. Just to see if they're going to be successful like they were in the draft of keeping Shedeur out of the QB1 spot, to see if they're going to keep any black QBs from ascending to 17 and 18, because it's sitting at 16 right now. So that's what you're watching this season. You're not watching competition geared for the Super Bowl at all. Hey, Nalavia, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Regina. Sharpshooters, how you doing? I agree. Yep. Salute, Warren. How you doing? Good afternoon, fam. Hit the like button. Yes, Jackie. Thank you. Thank you. RC Truth. Yep. It said Jeff Fisher never wanted Vince Young as his QB when he came out of college from Texas University. That I agree. The owner of the Titans wanted Young and destroyed his career. Draft and destroyed Terrell Pryor. I wonder how many times he asked himself if he should have went play basketball. Parents, you better listen up. The parents that are gearing up these kids, these 2-sport and 3-sport athletes, choose wisely. If baseball and basketball are options, you might want to go. Do we see this kind of behavior in the NBA? No. Yes, it has its faults, but you don't see them holding back people who good, because you can't. Because we looking at. Yes, we see them. Oh, the franchise person gets to play. Well, guess what? They contract's guaranteed. So if you want to pay me $4 million guaranteed to put somebody out here, to put somebody out here or keep me on the bench when your franchise person is struggling, cool. At least their contracts are guaranteed. See, the NFL don't have that. And we all know that's the most physical and most brutal sport. It causes wear and tear on your body. And we've seen everything weaponized, everything. Switching these black QBs off to wide receiver. That's after they get to the draft. See, because once they get you, what you gonna do? They talk about the greats like I think Calvin Johnson that retired early, Barry Sanders retired early. It's documented. They don't value the running backs. They value the quarterback, except when black quarterbacks become the starter, or they don't care about the second spot or the third spot. Yep, you can go sit over there. Your money not guaranteed. You sit out here and and for nothing. You're not making $50 million. Football players make the least of all the sports that we just talked about. So when your player, your student, your son has the ability to play these multi sports, I don't know why people feel like the NFL is the appeal, because after what you are seeing now, everything that you are seeing now, what you even knew about Lamar Jackson should say, go play basketball, go play baseball. Even Travis Hunter said, I can go play baseball. Hell, he might. It wouldn't surprise me if Travis Hunter is in and out 4 years. Saquon Barkley said he might retire. I mean, who wants to put up with this? That's what I mean by it's on fire. You think you just don't see the results of it yet because people are contemplating and pending and like making different decisions. And parents, you better pay attention. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to do like Diana and Players Club did. You're gonna have to have a goal. You're gonna have to get in. You're gonna have to get out. And don't be distracted by none of the foolishness. And don't let them get to you. Stay focused. Get in, get out, get your bag, and move on. It's not guaranteed. So you better get it. So yeah, draft and destroy. That's all I'm saying. Since we started, to me, Warren Moon won. Warren Moon won when he went to Canada because he didn't want to be devalued. He didn't want to go through that process, and it was evident then, and it should be evident now. He won, in my opinion. He had two Hall of Fames. Is it too late for Shador to go to Canada? Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how these seasons work. But Shador has motion. So no matter where he went, people are going. And if they didn't like him, why did they draft him? Sporting talent. So nobody else gets it. Let me get you a 5-star QB. I'm gonna use this school's prestige to come for you to come play for us. And then when I get you, I'm gonna bench you after you throw one interception, even though I'm gonna put you behind relative third string QBs who have never started and backups. Because I don't want to see you out there. And now you gotta get out. And how do you do that? See, don't get in. See, that's the thing. Because once you in, Vince Young, Terrell Pryor. Vince Young's career was ripped to shreds. So was Terrell Pryor's. He was a quarterback coming out of Ohio State, a legend that they were like, yep, okay, you're going to be our quarterback for the Raiders. He balled out. And then they benched him behind an undrafted free agent. And when Terrell Pryor asked for a trade, all the teams that existed at the time suddenly didn't need a damn good quarterback. So if he wanted to keep his NFL career, he had to do what? Become a wide receiver. So he's a part of that. Switch him off to wide receiver era. And we saw it right up to Lamar Jackson. And you know what they said? He should be a wide receiver. He's too short to be a quarterback. Lamar Jackson is 6'3". And the next year, in the draft after Lamar Jackson, the quarterback they draft is Kyler Murray. Who is Kyler Murray? He goes number 1 overall. So are they trying to make up and cover up the fact that what they did to Lamar Jackson is the same thing they did to Shador? That's why it's dangerous to say it's because of his name. It has nothing to do with that. It's because he's a quarterback. The most important position on the team. And he's just any quarterback. He's number 17 of 32, which makes black QBs the starters, the majority of all starters on NFL teams, which means when you turn on your TV on Sundays or at their marquee times, Monday Night Football, hell, could be Thursday Night Football, there are going to be several games where all the quarterbacks playing back to back are black. They don't want to see that. And if I'm at 15 before the draft, and I'm 16 with Cam, and now 17 with Shador, and 18 with Milroe, there's no going back to that. So they, in the draft, they succeeded. But what they going to do now? Because it's going to be another draft, and I already see the play. The top 2 quarterbacks they talking about, neither one of them are black. That's the play. Stop it in college, which is why they disparage Milroe in college. Parents better choose wisely. You might want to choose basketball, and you might want to choose baseball. Hey, Jerry, how you doing? Cleveland just let Nick Chubb sign with the Texans. They not trying to win. No, they're not trying to win. You know Cleveland not trying to win because they get bargain basement talent. They pride themselves on getting wide receivers for pennies on the dollar. Oh, excuse me? So you don't want to win. That's Andrew Barrett's claim to fame. He gets them cheaply for us. This ain't no slave auction. You supposed to be out here building winning teams. Wake up. This is not the 1800s. But that's where they stuck at mentally. That's why every time you look at the NFL going forward, I want you to see that plantation in Louisiana slowly burning. In slow motion, this picture it with their logo on top. Because that's what's happening. Parents, you better wake up. Glorify something that's going to just serve to tear you down if you're a quarterback, end your career early, get you excessively hurt, pass over you, put the number 2 QB in front of you and say, oh, well, we value them. And now, take Josh Allen, pay him the bag, 330, even though he the number 2 QB, pay him the bag, 330, and switch him off from what? They don't want him to be a dual threat no more. Now they want him to be a pocket passer. Something that they said they didn't want from Shador. Because it's not about Shedeur's skill set. It's about Shedeur's skin color. And people don't want to admit that, but there are people that have. They're just not saying it out loud. That is all that this is about. It is actually quite simple. It's not complicated at all. And it's not new. And it has nothing to do with the Sanders because every QB that we profile, none of them are related to Coach Prime. Some of them are older than Coach Prime, especially Joe Gilliam and Briscoe. Denver told Briscoe flat out, right, we just don't want you to be our QB. That's all they did with Shedeur. They just know we living in different times, even though they want to act like we not, because they know they get their lunch handed to them. So they got to do it without saying it and act like we don't know what we're seeing. So they're going to lie on Shedeur. Fix that. This ain't going up from here. So when you're looking at all these clips that these leagues are putting out here, the NFL is putting out here, notice it ain't black quarterbacks that they're showing you. They showing you and trying to celebrate Terrell Pryor as a wide receiver when he was a damn good quarterback. And people in the comments called them out because his best year wasn't a wide receiver. It was a quarterback, but they don't want to talk about that because they don't want to talk about how it is that when one of the best come out of Ohio State and he get drafted, they don't want to talk about why they put an undrafted free agent in front of him when he balled out in people's faces. And the fans loved it. And they stopped it because Terrell Pryor is black, light skinned or not. And I told y'all, light skinned people experience discrimination too. It might be look different, but it's the same. Racism is racism. Light, dark, don't matter. If you black, they know. They figured it out when people could pass a long time ago. And it got something to do with your damn chin. The point is, Terrell Pryor was also a black quarterback. And now they want to come out suddenly and celebrate him as a wide receiver. They still doing it. Why not celebrate him as a quarterback? Because that was his best time. And why nobody else wanted a quarterback? Because they wanted him to be a wide receiver anyway. Just like Lamar Jackson. And I've been telling y'all, Lamar Jackson's still paying for the fact that he was like, I want to be a quarterback. I don't want to be a wide receiver. So salute to Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson has to go through the NFL, not honestly trying to get to the Super Bowl. And if it is, it's because God put it in his heart. He like, just keep going. Otherwise, you don't have no expectations. Because if they know that that's what you want and they know that's what they all supposed to want, right? I'm not gonna give it to you. And that makes that catch that knocked Baltimore out. And the response from the GM, we're not making no major changes after that. They was already protected Andrews. How long he been there? If he was that good, they wouldn't have had to go get other people for Lamar to throw to. But they purposely chose not to pick those people at the most critical times. So was the goal to make Andrews the hero, or was the goal to stop Baltimore from getting to the next level? Because then it would have been 4 quarterbacks for the first time vying for the Super Bowl. Just like it was getting ready to be 17 starting QB1s with Shedeur Sanders going to Cleveland, a team that it was known that was drafting him at number 2. So yeah, just like Vince Young wasn't wanted by Jeff Fisher, and not just Jeff Fisher, the Titans organization. It seems like Shedeur is at a team that don't want him there either. And we saw how they were treating him at first. And now we're starting to see different. And I wouldn't say he's winning them over. He's him. It's up to them whether they choose to fight social media or not. And we have seen what happens when you fight social media. Hey, Jerry. Cleveland just let Chip. Yeah, they let Nick Chubb go. No, they're not trying to win. The Giants deserve to lose. Yeah, they shouldn't even be in the league no more. See, if the league actually had any accountability, but see, they was involved in this. The New York Giants should be kicked out. The team, if Donald Sterling had to sell his team for using the N-word on audio, hell is it the New York Giants is still in the National Football League, knowing they just didn't want a black quarterback, knowing that they defamed and they lied on this kid because he was going to be what? A starter on somebody's team, and they clearly didn't want him to be a starter for them because they wanted who? And I don't care if you save your spot for Arch Manning. You still could have got Shador, but you knew that if Shador started, you're not about to bench Shador in 2 years because he only is going to go up from here. So you went and got Jackson Dart because you got that Ole Miss connection at the QB spot running from Ole Miss to the Giants. And because your job was on the line, you like, I gotta blame somebody. We gonna say Shador, he ain't good. Like we buying it. We already know who Shador is. He was not on the day before the damn NFL draft. So every lie they told is not sticking. But we have seen no accountability from ownership to the GM to them coaches that lied on Shador and defamed him. And all the media want to talk about is he could start. We did not forget what happened. It was so traumatic. We remember. And yeah, we know he could start. So when you gonna pay him his money? Because you knew that during the draft. So you intentionally devalued Shedeur Sanders. You intentionally picked his pockets. And now you want to put him out here as QB1 for less money while y'all laugh about it while the game taking place. Hell no. Just vision that plantation in Louisiana slowly burning down to the damn ground. When you want to have plantation mentality in 2025, that's what's going to happen. It's not about Shador raising to the top. This is about Shador being compensated for the money they stole from him. We know he gonna rise to the top. That's not what this is about. Just like this is not about Coach Prime. This is about they intentionally devalue Shedeur Sanders. He's not the first quarterback that they intentionally devalue. This negatively affects their career earnings. They will always be behind their white counterparts, who some of them, many of them, they're more talented than. So basically, if you want to play in this league, you're going to have to do it for less. And then I'm going to put you out here first to make me more money while the people I overpaid sitting on the bench collecting their check. That's what this is about. We know he going to rise to the top. He was already at the top. The NFL has Shador as a first-round draft pick, a first-year starter. We know that already. This is about them stealing his money, devaluing him, negatively affecting his career earnings, making his life harder because he's black. That's called discrimination. And that's why it's happening. Because Shador going to the Browns was something they had already decided before the draft, which is why the Browns put on this dog and puppet show. Oh, we want to get Shador, we want to get Shador, we want to get Shador. Which means they knew they were going to come out and say, we took a big swing and missed with Deshaun Watson. You know why? Because he's been there since 2022. So it's likely you either knew that already, if it's true, or it ain't true at all, and you scapegoating Deshaun Watson too. So we know he's gonna rise to the top, but we see them holding him back. Why? That should be the topic of conversation. Why are they treating him like he's a fourth-string quarterback? Because it's obvious he was elite first-year starter, pushed down to number 144. Why? That's the question. And when they gonna give him his money? You're welcome, Angela. Hey, Gracie. Regina say, let's all keep Coach Prime in our prayers. Bucky didn't go into details, but he said yesterday on his live he wasn't leaving Texas until his dad is ready to go. Yeah, Coach Prime posted today something that makes me think that there's something that he's grappling with that he can't control. What he said today was, I know it seems impossible, but you got to keep believing. So I don't know what it is, but Lauren has been at the house for, they say, about 2 weeks. So, she does his therapy for his foot. So maybe it's relative to that. Maybe it's not looking good. Maybe they're going to have to do something that he don't want to do. And to say that he made his legacy is built using his feet, that's not easy. It wasn't easy for him to get to the point where he had to get his toes amputated. So maybe they're talking about something else, or maybe it's something else. But whatever it is, it looks bleak. It looks impossible to overcome. And he's been in his room because I heard Bucky say it. So he praying for direction. He probably just waiting for God to answer, and he probably is. And when God open the door or give you direction, you got to be ready to walk through it. And most times we not, because it's not what we want to do. But if we go the path we want to go, he might lose it all. So it's something huge that he's dealing with that looks like it's impossible, but he's just trying to figure out the right way to go, or trying to understand what it is God wants him to do, or try to accept the path that God has laid out before him. So this could be about acceptance of something that seemingly is impossible. Because we all know that Cam was conditioned from training with Shador. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Cam and see him as an underdog story. One second. There's a lot of comments here. And see him as an underdog story. So I don't mind if Shador went second. I'm gonna be honest with you. Shador went second, and that was gonna always be the case because that's the only story that could stick. What is it about Cam when you know that he was the best quarterback? What is it about Cam that you could have said that people would believe, that they could have said that people would believe, that they could use to devalue him? Nothing. What is it about Milroe? They did it already in college. See, they handled Milroe college. They got him out the way before the draft. So it was just Cam and Shador. And nobody, that's why you think Shador said, I don't care where I get drafted. You know why? Because he knew that that's what it was about. And that is what it was about. And it had to be Cleveland. It was never, ever going to be the Giants. So I don't know why they defamed them. And I don't know why the NFL went through all this trouble because guess what? Shador's still probably going to be QB1 somewhere because now they got to with the internet. And you lose. That's a battle that the NFL is going to lose. That plantation slowly burning because parents, even before I said it, are looking at each other and they're telling their son, when it's time for you to decide, son, you might want to think about where you're going to be happy and celebrate it. And that's why a lot of them are staying in school. That's also fuel to the fire for that plantation. There are over 60 people. Yeah, please get the likes up. There's 92 of us. Please get the likes up. Thank you so much. Why is Mary Kay still interviewing Shador while he is trying to eat lunch with his teammates? Is that happening now, Jakey? Or is that when he was when was that? Let me know, Jackie, because we know why. Microaggressions. NFL crashing out to protect the coveted QB status. Yep, Blue Moon, that is it. That is it. It said the Watchmen, it said Cleveland Browns are toxic as hell by design. It's not incompetence, it's intentional. And that's why I keep telling people when y'all keep saying they incompetent, I'm like, you might be incompetent once. Because you're supposed to learn from your mistakes, right? This is intentional. This is intentional. And when Coach Prime said it way back then, that might be why they said, and after the Vegas Super Bowl, oh, looking at each other, y'all know what's next now. Y'all know next year's that draft. Well, we get these black QBs coming out of college, and it's at least 3 or 4 because Milroe, Shador, and Cam were ranked ahead of the season. So they knew those 3 would be in the draft. So that's why Milroe got trashed like he did at Alabama because they just moved him out the way. Because to be honest with you, and I wanted Milroe to work out with select QBs. See, that's what I wanted. Who heard me say it? I was like, Milroe, I need you, if you can hear me, just get to select QBs. Because had he done that, they would have nothing. They would have nothing. They used he's not accurate within 10 yards against him to put him behind. That's all they had. When you know that Milroe's comps are Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson, and you run a 4.37, how the hell is Dart in front of him? They won that fight too. So they knew Vegas. They knew. And they knew years ago, Coach Prime said what? Young QBs should not go to Cleveland. It's not about Coach Prime name. And Coach Prime wasn't wrong because look at what's still happening. And Shador was 16 at the time when he said that, which means he was in high school. They've been plotting since high school. They've been plotting since the Vegas Super Bowl. On or before. They knew exactly where to pigeonhole Shedeur Sanders. It's crazy when the media kept saying he going to the Giants. I'm like, now y'all know damn well he going to the Giants. Did you ever hear the media say the Giants have never had a black starting quarterback? Did you ever hear the Giants say I mean, did you ever hear the media say the Giants, not only have they never had a black starting quarterback, they were the last team to ever have a black quarterback. So they're not black quarterback friendly. Have you heard that? And now they got Russ, and that's the supreme one right there. That's the one. I want to see how that's gonna turn out. Because he already said they can't break me, and they cannot. He was not supposed to be their starter, not for the whole season. We gonna see how it goes. So yeah, we might not see Shador, and it could be for his own safety. Because I told y'all they gonna put him out there, but I need to see what that O line do first. So let them put out there whoever they want to put out there. Because I told y'all when they start saying he could start, you better start side eyeing that O line. They drafted him because of an agent. 8647 got involved, even though we know agent is useless. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. I mean, I totally believe that. And he's good. Yeah, Shedor's good. Miracle's good too. You know, when people say Miro got an arm on him, and he does. And that's the very thing they use to devalue him. But see, they didn't talk about Dart. They didn't talk about, Dart never been past a bowl game. Miro under Nick Saban. See, they value Alabama till Jalen Miro is the quarterback. That's how that works. And since they all see him to be on a mission to hold him back coming out of college, because it worked with Miro, that's what they're trying to do over there to Keelan Russell, which is why I'm hoping he end up in Syracuse somewhere other than that. Because the reason people went to Alabama is not going to work for you if you're a quarterback. You should see that from Jalen Hurts. And I hate that he went there. But once he healed, because he's grieving, it'll come together. I think he should just redshirt. Honestly, I think he should just transfer to Colorado and redshirt. That's what I think. And I know y'all like, what? He don't have to stay there. He can go there and he can redshirt and grieve because he is grieving. He lost his twin sister. And y'all know people believe twins have a stronger connection than most of us with our siblings. I believe 95 of us, please hit the like button for me, please. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Teach, drop the facts. Yeah. So what they should be saying, what they should have been saying in the draft, this is the historic 2025 draft. Well, for the first time in NFL history, with the three QBs, the three elite QBs coming out of college, likely going in the first round, at least two of the three going in the first round. Whoever is the second pick in the NFL draft as a quarterback will tip the majority to black starting quarterbacks, meaning for the first time ever. And you know what people like to point out? Oh, they're not the majority of quarterbacks overall, right? And that tells you how elite they are. And when you look at the history, you know why the black QBs that come to the NFL are damn good. Because look at what they got to go through college to get out of there and get in line. And then look what they got to go through, what Shador and Lamar Jackson went through, and Terrell Pryor. And you can put Terrell Pryor and Vince Young on the same, you can put them in the same category. Draft and destroy. To me, Warren Moon won. Why? Because he chose to go somewhere else. And until these guys realize they got to come up with a better option, either go somewhere else or start your own league so you have somewhere to go. Because if you don't make the sacrifice, you're going to become the sacrifice. Because when they realize that they can't do it without you and that's not what they want to do, you're going to be looking for a damn job. And when they figure out I'm going to get it done without you, because I've already seen it, and it ain't working, they not going to give up unless Jesus show up. And they all 32 are walking out their beds at 4 o'clock in the morning. And God like, look here, it's me versus you. So just do the right thing. They ain't done it yet. So it's time for another option. And these parents with these multi-sport athletes that have options, I don't know why they keep getting lured over here. Because Caleb Williams wanted to go somewhere else. He sure did. I can't figure out how he got lured back, but it's in a book. We're going to talk about it at some point. This needs to be the last time that happens. Period. As much money as our professional athletes have, they just need to come together and start their own league. Hell, damn, basketball players alone with the podcast game are showing you that you have options. I saw a former NFL defensive player He wasn't a quarterback. He's an NFL player. Guess what? He's on the NASCAR circuit. He's part of a pit crew. Somebody's filming him. Guess what else I saw? In addition to New Balance showing major love to Coco Golf and a softball player at HBCU getting $1 million that no committee needs to look at and decide if it's too much money. I saw an ad, a luxury retailer, a women's, they have men's stuff too, but they took an ad, a luxury retailer took their women, an ad out for women, and they had them on a NASCAR track with some handbags. Things are changing. What we saw in the NFL draft was disgusting. Advertisers starting to look elsewhere. Okay, what's another sport? What can I do? Well, hell, I can get women over here in NASCAR. Sure can. I watched Raja Karut's video that he dropped on YouTube himself of they won Nashville because they did. There's another player. I mean, another driver. Excuse me, it's another driver. I'm watching him. So, see, parents, that is an option. Yes, they have had their problems, but it seemingly after the news, that was it. And there might be some microaggressions out there, so you need to be out there present and visible with you and your family so you can protect your people because that's the only reason they do it. That's the only reason they do it because they think you're out there by yourself. And we can't let nobody think Shedeur nowhere by himself because if y'all notice, they were very, very hyper-focused on who the hell Bug was. And Mary Cat was hyper-focused on what? What do you call your fan base? Oh, she just realized he had a fan base. They don't call them nothing but football fans, just like everybody else. What makes you so special? They asked him that. This is 2025. And they want to let their flags fly. But you're not going to attack Shedeur Sanders. Ain't nobody else. If they would have known what Caleb was going through, we would have been talking about that. But see, now we know. And I don't know why these guys keep keeping these stories to themselves. I guess because they want to stay in favor and they want to get the bag. When you get the bag, you better do something with it that benefits you so you can employ yourself. That's what you better do. Go back and get that degree. Shout out to Jalen Hurts. He got his master's. Shiloh got his master's. Don't be caught out here in 3 years with no degree and no damn job. I don't know how many more warnings you need because this was the final warning, in my opinion. Manage your money, young man. Yup, I heard Shannon Sharp and Ocho and them talking about it. Ocho said these dudes out here making $3 million a game and living check to check. They said, this money, y'all don't know. Because, see, they thinking about right now. And guess what they said? Heaven forbid you get injured, Travis Hunter might want to make sure he good. Because look at that quarterback he got. So maybe Jacksonville will set up. And the quarterback is there to 2030. That's who they value. So much so that y'all saw them trying to say and ask, was Travis a bust? And you think they like you? Mm-hmm. May not be the one you want, but I'm also showing up the one you need. That's facts. That's facts. It said this is why they are trying to bypass Shador being QB1 because he can get less talented wide receivers to perform at a high level. That too. Well, they don't want Shedeur Sanders to be QB1 because he's black. I don't have no problem with saying it. The NFL's history have demonstrated their racism and discrimination toward black black quarterbacks in the NFL draft and in NFL periods. Shedeur said, if I don't want to change, don't draft me. If you don't want to change, don't draft me. And they've been passed off ever since. Sweetheart, let me explain this. February 20th, on or before, NFL Insider tells Mel Kiper Jr. the NFL does not want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now. This was a long planned plot. Go back to the video. Roger Goodell tells what? Shedeur, I'm worried about your pops. Was Shedeur worried about his own dad that he see every day? No. Cleveland fans think they are free. Whatever. I don't think they go to the games believing that they're going to win. They going to celebrate something else. I don't know what it is. Could just be Sunday. But it ain't winning because they know who their franchise is. They see how their franchise moves. So they going to celebrate something that likely has nothing to do with getting to the Super Bowl because that's why they keep buying tickets. Same thing with the Giants fans. Same thing. Who was the kid who made the call to Shedeur. Please, somebody ID him. They ain't gonna do that. They done lied and said that it's the defensive coordinator's son, and we all saw different. So they lied to us in our face and telling us we didn't see what we saw. Old Miss Sweatshirt. They did what they did because only they can come into the game of football with money. Yeah, because when the game started, it was their sport. But then they saw the athleticism that black players had, and they were like, we want that. We want that. And then they got to a point where they actually banned black players from the league because white people weren't making money and it wasn't going to look good that white people were out of jobs in 1934 and black people were playing in the NFL making money. So if you black NFL player, you clearly are not the priority. Because if we go back to a place in society where a lot of people are out of jobs, they don't be out of jobs. And that's why I said this your final warning. You better use that bag collectively and build your own league so you can control your own destiny. You've been warned, I don't know how many times. This is the final warning because it ain't gonna get no worse than this. Because somebody that was coming out of school next year not coming because they already see the rankings and they see who they put at the top. So that's what they did. So, yep, prayers up for Coach Prime. We also want to keep Shador in our prayers because it's not easy dealing with this at such a young age. And I don't know what happened to Keelan Russell's sister, but she was very young. And they said it was not a, how should I say, it wasn't an external, like a criminal incident. So it's a lot of pressure these young people dealing with out here. And the last thing they need to do in 2025 is be dealing with racism in front of 7.3 million people because people choose to intentionally devalue you and humiliate you when they could have just said, thank you, but no thank you. We're gonna do something different. We don't want you to be a part of the NFL. That's all you had to say. But see, they wanted to hurt him. And see, I have a problem with that because they tried to hurt him mentally, emotionally, and detach him from his father, blame his father for it when they had this plan in 2024, somewhere around the Vegas Super Bowl, to hurt him. They want to hurt Coach Prime too, because it means more to them to preserve what? At the QB position. Milroe, Cam, and Shador are all from Texas. I didn't even realize that. Select QBs in Houston. Okay, that makes sense then. I know that's right about the O line. Yeah, I'm like, let somebody else start. The description of Milroe by his haters is an all time great. He's too fast and strong, and his arm is too powerful. You know why? Because they can't keep up. That's exactly what you can see when you go watch the French Open. Just a snippet of it, and I shared it on my stories with Coco Golf and the person that she played against. They talked about how she used her legs to defeat her athleticism. Now they want to dial back on athleticism because Shador is number 17, and they said he ain't even athletic. So why you hurt him? You should have wanted him because he's black. Number 17. If they had thought this through, they would have made Shador 16 and Cam, who's athletic, 17, and they could have said, oh, we don't want Cam and Milroe because they dual threat quarterbacks because that's what they're trying to do. Turn them into pocket passes. That ain't going to work. And that's why look at who they draft out of college. Look at who they rank out of college. Look at who they are. And look at pocket passer versus dual threat. They're trying to dial it back now because they didn't intend for this to happen. But they let their greed and exploiting these quarterbacks get the best of them. But understand, they devalue damn near every last one of them. And they still rose to the top. And Shador become the majority. And they say he ain't even athletic. So to me, you know who they fight with. And it ain't Shador, Coach Prime. But it is, I believe, wearing. Or they trying for it not to wear it. But I do think this took a toll on Coach Prime. And that should make Shador think, you know what, is this worth it? Because you're not supposed to let nobody put you off your path. But the guy opened that door for you. Like if they cut him because they already putting it out there, well, we're going to get somebody else next year. So if you're going to get somebody else next year, you're not going to feature Shador because you don't need nobody else next year. So they already coming up the back end trying to show you he ain't gonna be here long. Remember, when his name went out, his phone number went out with an email, what was attached to the email? A waiver wire. So just like they knew probably at the Vegas Super Bowl or when they figured out that Shedeur, Cam, and Millwall were ranked, and instead of being ranked at the bottom, they rose to the top in college, they knew, okay, send him here and him here and just don't talk about him. Which one they not talking about? Milrow. Milrow is behind Donald. Let's say Donald get injured and Milrow ball out. You're going to see exactly what you saw with Shador and OTAs. And you're going to hear the same thing. What the draft? They were so busy trying to disparage Shador, they try to distract you from the fact that they're not even talking about Cam and they're not talking about Milrow. Had you realized that, you would have noticed the pattern that these are quarterbacks. I agree about the O-line. Right. So they already telling you he's not going to be there next year. Are those Lions rumors about Shedeur good? They should be. They should be because Jared Goff is 2% battery life on his career. We saw that already. I was shocked that he was still there. But now you know why they are. Some of them are good, honestly. Some of the QBs that they have are good, but some of them, honestly, they're not. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, that's a travesty. I think they colluded against the Jacksonville Jaguars and made them take him because that's crazy. That he locked until 2030 on a $275 million contract with a no trade clause. That sounds like they planted him there. And Travis got to be careful. He might want to be like, you know what, I'm just going to play one side. I'm going to just play corner. To hell with that. Because if he play wide receiver with somebody who's not good, see, Travis used to having a good quarterback. We already saw it in rookie minicamp, what was happening. And they want to blame Travis? Who they going to blame if he get injured? And the money changes. And the money changes when you get injured. The last Super Bowl champion from Texas, and one of that was Texas Tech. Oh, you talking about Pat Mahomes? And see, that's when things okay. So when I was doing my research, that's when things changed. We are hour and 7 minutes. Okay, we get ready to wrap up. That's when things begin to change. Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Since the two of them came into the league, when you do the rankings from the time the two of them got drafted every year, QB rankings, Lamar, Pat, Lamar, Pat. Then it goes Lamar, Pat, CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels. Then it starts to change. And when Coach Brown was in the league, when they had 11 quarterbacks at the top, it was only one black QB, and that was Donovan McNabb. But now when Shador is getting ready to come into the league, but Coach Prime is coaching at Jackson State. And a few years before that, Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson changed the narrative, which might explain to you why they was tugging on Pat Mahomes so much and wanted to put him on the W column. And I don't mean W for win. And I think he figured that out. The first thing he did after the Super Bowl was went cut his hair. His barber's black. He was like, the hell with that. There ain't no point to that. Because why? Even though you could try to put him in the W column, Lamar Jackson, you cannot. But you can break him down and play keep away with the MVP and his when it was time for Lamar Jackson to be a free agent, just like Terrell Pryor, when he wanted to trade, no team needed a quarterback. They'd have done this so many times. They knew exactly what to do with Shador. They didn't even have to think about it. It's already documented that in the draft, when somebody's popular and that one team moves away, that's a signal for everybody else to move away. And that's what they did. They didn't even have to say it out loud to nobody else. They just knew what to do. But Mike Tomlin told us there was these phone calls when he was getting ready to pick Shador. And they had to listen to these phone calls. And you saw the green rooms. You saw how they set up. You know the call was on speaker. Who made the call? Why nobody talking about that? They don't want to talk about who made the call. They don't want to talk about who made the prank call, who made the call during the draft. Why they don't want to talk about it? You should want to get to the bottom of that. Terry said, and it's how they think the next year's draft class is so good. Right. They said this one was trash before the draft. And I knew why. I said, I know exactly what they're doing. It's because Cam, Shedeur, and Milrow are at the top. What did I say? Who was on the podcast when I said, oh, now they saying Jackson Dart is going to sneak up to the first round? I said, why he got to sneak? They always knew what was going to happen. before the draft, before they started. When they said before the combine, the NFL insider tells Mel Kiper Jr. the NFL does not want quarterbacks now. They knew what they was going to do to Shador. I believe they knew at the Super Bowl, which is why Goodell said to Shador, I'm worried about your pops. And Shador was like, wait, what? Why are you worried about him? You think Goodell knows something about Coach Prime that Shador don't? You know they close. They're only saying that about the next year's class because the ranking has already been put out there and they already put at the top who they want. They don't have nobody from CU, and we got two damn good quarterbacks. And they know it. And Keelan Russell got benched, so they moved him out the way too. See, it starts in college. This happened with Hurts. This happened with Miro. That's why I don't even know why they even going. That should be the last 5-star of black QB going to Alabama. That should be it. Let that be a lesson to you. You better go somewhere else. I just saw it Saturday evening. I'm sorry I don't out the dates, but handled it with class and dignity was the caption, and his teammate looked so annoyed at her, like he can't eat in peace. I think you talking about when they went to that little rookie cooking event, right? Right. It said, that's right, we need our own league. Our rival did it. They created a player-led league and it's working. They still trying to tear down Angel Reese. I thought I heard her say it, and I think it's true. She out of there once that contract is up. She going strictly on rival, and I don't blame her. They do not appreciate her, do not protect her, and they don't want her to succeed. So once that time is up, I'm out. And see, this is what they need to understand. Don't even go. Don't even go. Because guess what? Once they get you, they got you. Ask Terrell Pryor, ask Vince Young, ask Shedeur Sanders, ask Lamar Jackson. The Super Bowl is for the players. And I think there are some players who are not even trying to get that no more. And there's some players that knew coming in it wasn't going to happen because, there are some players that know the agenda. How they know? You have to make the sacrifice before you become the sacrifice. That's facts. Psalms chapter 58, verse 3, the watchman. All right. Hey, Tina. Hey, everybody. It's a slave situation. Yeah, that's all it is. The Shador situation may have played in a role in why Juju chose Colorado. Oh, they trying to get Juju out of there. Again, they see Juju like they see Pat Mahomes. You got to be willing to walk away from the energy that is beneath you. Facts. And I'm pinning that one because that's the one. Thank you for that, Blue Moon. See, that's the thing, right? You have to be willing to walk away. And these guys, too many of them are not willing to walk away. So if you're not willing to walk away and you're not willing to start your own, you're willing to be the sacrifice. And they see that. And they like, well, where else you gonna go? See, Warren Moon, he won. He won. Because then they came Kyle. See, you can't. And I get it. I get it. His dad played in the league, but he also knew what his dad went through. So he might have some tough questions to ask himself because draft and destroy is not a new strategy. Draft and hold is not a new strategy. Draft and bench is not a new strategy. What's happened to Shador is not new. It was the most extreme. I will give you that because of what was at stake. 17 to 32. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. That's it. We'll be back at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the midday huddle. It's not much going on, so we might be talking about some other things. And we'll check in on the Buffs, see what they got going on. And I guess, we'll just be back at 4 o'clock. Join us in the huddle. Or what is that called? The midday huddle. Join us for the midday huddle at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank y'all for the engagement. I appreciate it. Hit the like button on the way out. We made it to 111 viewers. 111 viewers. And sometimes when y'all watching the media, I want you to listen to what is not being said. All right. I'll see y'all at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.